Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gene's Reviews. Reviews from a regular dude, where I do trailer reactions, I react to YouTube videos, I review YouTube channels. Occasionally, I'll review a movie, but really, I just do whatever the hell I want. Hey, everybody, welcome to Gene's Reviews. Reviews from just a regular dude. Today, we're doing one called 5 Most Mysterious Locations where you can contact the devil. Let's check this one out. It would probably help if I got my headphones on.
All across the Abrahamic religions, there is an evil entity that has been described as the mortal enemy of man,
probably
both
hear me a little
spiritually
bit better,
and physically.
too.
This entity has been called many names, from the adversary, Mephistopheles, Beelzebub, Satan, to the more common moniker of the devil. As terrible as it might be to imagine coming face to face with an entity known as the mortal enemy of man, it appears that in a few locations from around the world, there were exactly such instances of the devil making an appearance.
I'm just watching this for entertainment value. I would never do any of this shit, by the way, just so you know.
And leaving his mark. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will be going over these historical and modern day accounts of reported places where the devil himself has been. Der Teufelsstritt, Germany, the Devil's Footprint. Back in 1468, the German architect Georg von Hausbach was eager to begin the designs of a new cathedral he had drawn up to be constructed in Munich. Unfortunately for the architect, he lacked the adequate funds necessary to construct the cathedral of his dreams. Desperate to gain his hands on the necessary riches, the architect performed a ritual to summon the devil himself to strike up a bargain. During their agreements, the devil agreed to pay the funds for the construction of the church on the sole obligation that there would be no windows to let.
I've always wondered, if you believe in the devil, gotta believe in God, why would you summon the devil instead of trying to get with God? Just a thought.
In light of any kind. The architect agreed to the deal with a clever plan in mind. When the construction of the cathedral was finished, it was during the dead of night. Quick to get the devil's approval, the architect summoned the devil in the middle of the cathedral for him to see the new work that had been finished. Positioned in such a way as to block all the windows with large columns, the devil looked around and nodded his head in approval, agreeing that the terms of the bargain had been met. After this agreement, however, the devil took a step forward and realized he had been tricked. In a tremendous rage, the devil slammed his foot down on one of the tiles and left his print there for the world to see. Today, the strange footprint indentation can still be seen on the floor of the Munich Cathedral.
Wonder how they know this in the 1400s.
The devil kicked the Goldstone, England. Located in the county of East Sussex is a strange trench known as Devil's Dyke that has been at the centre of Brighton legend surrounding the devil and his treacherous plans. Legend tells that the devil began digging the Devil's Dyke in the hopes of creating a natural flood by allowing seawater into the region to destroy the people settling there. As he began digging up the rocks and dirt, he made the trench more than 300 feet in depth before striking against a rock that stopped him in his tracks. Frustrated with the large amount of boulders in that region, he kicked the boulder with all of his strength, sending the massive rock down into the region now known as the Goldstone Valley. Luckily for the settlers in the region, this kick injured the devil and forced him to leave the area as his plan could no longer be completed. The massive rock that the devil supposedly struck can be seen today and is known as the Goldstone. Completely out of its naturally formed area, the Goldstone is a 20-ton lump of sandstone and flint that contains thousands of freckles of gold throughout the boulder. No one is entirely certain as to how the Goldstone got to its resting place, and appears to be a mystery impossible to explain. Due to the rock's strange origins, however, it became the site of druidic rituals and dark spells. Back in 1906, the Goldstone boulder was moved to the newly created Hove Park and has become one of the most popular tourist attractions in the modern day. A legend from 1913 tells that if facing the stone from Old Shoreham Road on a bright and sunny morning, a face can be seen in the rock that stares out sternly at those passing by. the night the devil visited Loftus Hall. Back in 1765, the Lord of Loftus Hall Manor, Mr. Charles Tottenham, spotted a ship that suddenly appeared out on the nearby waters and came to shore on the Hook Peninsula. Due to the terrible storms that had been raging through the area, Charles Tottenham quickly sent the butler to go help the arriving ship in case the soldiers were in need of any assistance. Oddly enough, only a young man arrived at the mansion, with no other company. The daughter, Anne Tottenham, quickly fell in love with the young man and appeared to display signs of obsession. In an effort to clear their hands and pass the time through the storm, Charles offered to play a game of cards in their game room with the young man. As the family and the young man were beginning to play, Anne knelt down from the table to pick up a card that she believed to have dropped. As she knelt down, she noticed that the man had a deformation of his foot that made it look like a cleft hoof. When she asked him about the foot, the young man jumped through the roof, tearing a hole in the ceiling, and disappeared into the storm. It is claimed that the daughter, still obsessed with the man, refused to leave her room and sat with her head on her knees overlooking the ocean, waiting for him to one day return. When she passed away, the servants of the house claimed that her muscles had seized and they could not relax the body of Anne in its sitting pose. Eventually, she would be buried in this pose, waiting for the young man to return.
That's a creepy story.
The Devil's Footprints of Devon. Referred to by head researchers into the phenomenon as the Great Devon Mystery of 1855, the Devil's Footprints incident seems to be one of the strangest and most impossible to explain mystery event that people are still attempting to try to find an answer for in the modern day. According to reports back in 1855, many people claimed to have seen hoof-like marks and footprints in the snow travelling down in a straight line for more than 40 miles. These strange footprints were later referred to by locals as the Devil's Footprints, as they believed the devil had cloven hooves. The strangest thing about the phenomenon is that the trail spanned 40 miles in a single night after a snowstorm and demonstrated supernatural properties no person could replicate. It appeared that the footprints were capable of walking over high rooftops, rivers, as well as entering and exiting small drainage pipes that were described as being no more than 4 inches in diameter. It was not until 1950, after the publication of several articles asking for more information on the incident, that a full investigation was provided for the strange mystery by researchers and journalists. After compiling first-hand and second-hand accounts, they found startling evidence that the event couldn't have been a hoax. In fact, the original belief of a 40-mile-long track was incorrect, and further information revealed that the track spanned more than 100 miles with specific consistencies, making it impossible for someone to have travelled in a single night. Nothing more has ever been discovered surrounding the event, and no creature was ever seen that made the tracks, despite the ground it covered.
To me, it sounds like it would be extraterrestrial.
The Legend of the Codex Gigas. One of the most well-known stories concerning...
Yeah, it sounds extraterrestrial to me. A lot like the corn, the mazes and everything that, that they would have. I can't think of what they're called. I'm early onset Alzheimer's here, I swear to God. I can't remember anything anymore. What were they called? Those circles and the wheat and everything. And then whatever. Let's continue. I'm brain
that
dead.
of a person making a deal with the devil is
It'll
the
come to
existence
me.
of the fabled Codex Gigas. The Codex Gigas, also referred to as the Devil's Bible, was supposedly written by the devil himself after a desperate monk summoned him in exchange for his life. According to the legend, a monastery in Bohemia that made up the monks of the Black Cloth, a radical Christian group of whom devoted their belief to God by performing gruesome acts of starvation, isolation, and self-mutilation, accepted the terms outlined by one monk who promised to write the greatest book in a single night. The reason for this promise was due to the fact that the monk of the ministry had broken such a sacred rule of their monastery that the sin itself was covered up. After the other monks had convened, they decided that the punishment for the monk would be to wall himself up alive, essentially trapping him into a mausoleum. This led the monk to quickly promise the monastery that he could earn redemption by crafting the largest book that held all of human knowledge, including magic, medicine, information on herbs, as well as the entire Bible, in only one night. The monastery agreed to this outlandish promise on the basis of making a deal with the monk. They would allow him a chance at redemption if he could create the book in one night. But
So
if he
made a deal
failed,
with the devil.
they would continue with their punishment regardless. This led to the monk working throughout the night in a moment of panic, gathering all of the supplies necessary and binding the massive book before realizing that it would be humanly impossible to complete the task. At the stroke of midnight, in his desperation, he performed a dark ritual and summoned the devil himself. He quickly promised the devil his soul if the devil himself would use his supernatural powers to create the book and save him from death. In an instant, the devil accepted the deal and wrote the entire book in a single night, fulfilling the promise and saving the life of the monk. Interestingly enough, in the modern day, when experts took the time to look over the book, they found overwhelming evidence that the entire book was written by a single author in an incredibly short amount of time. The expected amount of time to work on such a massive book was expected to be more than a single author's lifetime. However, the entire piece has a consistent style of writing, of which is only possible to accomplish by having a lone author using the same type of ink made in the same way as is common with books with a single author, and has an entire page of a drawing of the devil as a reference to the credit of the author. But what do you think to all these strange and unexplainable stories surrounding the supernatural phenomenon of encountering a devil? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in...
Oh no, to me it's just plain not worth it. I wouldn't do it. Let me know what you thought of that in the comments down below. Now, for our joke this week, or today. I broke my finger last week. On the other hand, I'm okay. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hashtag Mean Gene, all that fun stuff. And if you like this video, tell all your friends, leave a comment down below. And if you didn't like it, then just shut up. And I will see you next time.